Hey everybody, here are the answers to that grammar quiz, grammar exercise. Hopefully, as boring as it might be watching me walk through the answers, hopefully this will be instructive. You can see what you got right, what you got wrong, and more importantly, why you got it right or why you got it wrong. I'm going to try to do this all in one take since I have no concept how to edit videos and stuff. So bear with me and I go through. Hopefully you've already completed this and you can follow along. So number one, what is the first question you should ask yourself when determining whether or not to use an apostrophe? You should ask yourself, is there possession? If the word has possession, if something belongs to it, if there is ownership in any way, then you're going to go on, and if no, then there's no apostrophe. No possession, no apostrophe. If yes, then you're going to ask question two. And possession ownership can be tricky. It's not necessarily I own this. We'll find some examples up ahead that I'll answer as we go or explain as we go. Okay, so no possession, no apostrophe. Again, unless we're talking about contractions, that's another thing. If yes, there is possession, you're going to ask yourself, forget if the word is plural or singular, you're going to ask yourself, does the word end in S? And that's easy. Does it end in S or not? If it does not end in S, you're going to add apostrophe S to the end of the word. If it does end in S, you're going to put an apostrophe after the S, so it's S apostrophe. So now let's practice. I lost my books and had to borrow Denny's, so I used my friend's books to study. Let me get this out of the way real quick, that this part is tricky when you're doing exercises on paper. It's tricky because this word is possibly already wrong. So we can't say, does it end in S already? Yeah, technically there's an S there, but we don't know if that's right or not. So if I had to borrow Denny's books, Denny is one person. So he is my friend. So I'm looking at the word friend. Is there possession? Yes, the books of my friend. The books belong to my friend. Does friend end in S? No, it doesn't. So what do? Add apostrophe S. See if I can highlight these. I lost my books and had to borrow Denny's, so I used my friend's books to study. Ask question one. Is there possession? Does something belong to the books? To study. Nope. No possession, no apostrophe. I visited my uncle and his dog chewed up all of my students' papers. His dog. Ooh, there's possession. The dog belongs to him. So it ends in S. Do I do this? No, I don't, because his is a possessive pronoun. It's one of those exceptions. There is possession already built into the word. So it's no change. It's not his dog, it's his dog. No change. I visited my uncle and his dog chewed up all of my many students' papers. Okay, students is the noun I'm exploring, examining. Does something belong to the students? Papers. Papers of the students. The papers belong to the students. Now, am I talking about they belong to a student or they belong to students? Many student. That doesn't work. So many students. The word is students. As it's written here, students is right. Does students end in S? Yeah, it looks like an S to me. So if we go back up to the questions, which I'm not going to do every time, I add an apostrophe after the S, and it's students. Papers. I visited my uncle and his dog chewed up all of my many students' papers, or my students' papers. Okay, papers already ends in S, so wait, we didn't ask question one. Is there possession? Is there ownership? No, nothing belongs to the papers. So, no possession, no apostrophe. Easy. Susan's umbrella never seems to work when it's raining outside. Okay, we're going to assume her name is Susan. So the umbrella belongs to Susan. It is the umbrella of Susan. Susan does not end in S, so I add apostrophe S. If her name was Susan's, you got somebody named Susan's, then it would be this. The name ends in S, so I'd put an apostrophe afterwards, but we're assuming her name's Susan. Susan's umbrella never seems to work when it's raining outside. Poor Susan. Let's see. I only have two options with it's. It's either A, which is 100% of the time it is. This is a contraction. Or it's this, ITS, which is the possessive pronoun. This does not exist. This does not exist. So it's either it is, whenever you see IT apostrophe S, pretend there's a little line under there, so it's the I, it is. You use apostrophes for possession, but this is one of those exceptions, like his. The reason there's a word with an apostrophe in it is because it's a contraction as well. It is a contraction. So when it is raining outside, it is. I'm going to go that. I've read that book, and it's very worn. Okay, again, we've got a contraction. I have. It's this. We know where to put the apostrophe in contractions because it's the letters we're getting rid of. This would be I space H-A-V-E. I'm too lazy to write the H-A, so I use the apostrophe. I've read that book so many times that its binding is very worn. Okay, I got two choices. It's either this one, when it is possession, something belongs to it, or it's this one, it is. So many times that it is binding is worn. Nope, doesn't make sense. Its binding, the binding belongs to it. That is the possessive one. So that's correct. Hooray, you're almost done with this section. Your should be you are almost done. So that's our contraction right here. You are. We're missing the A. That's left out because of the apostrophe. Great, done with section 1. Now we got to add apostrophes. And I was a real pain in the butt here and made a lot of words end in S, because when you see words that end in S, that's when you get all freaked out and you go, oh God, is there an apostrophe? Is there not? So let's go through this. Excuse me. Mom and Dad split up, and my sisters were very upset after our parents' divorce. Clearly on Word, this is going to help you with the squigglies, but let's go. Okay, sisters ends in S. Where does the apostrophe go? Wait, is there possession? My sisters were there. Nothing belongs to the sisters. No possession, no apostrophe. After our parents' divorce, is there possession? This is one of those weird ones where it's like, can a divorce belong to somebody? That's where you say it's the divorce of the parents. So that is the sense of ownership, the possession, the divorce of the parents. Well, the word is parents, not parent, because it would take parents to get divorced. So it ends in S already, which means I'd go apostrophe. Because his car would not start, Steve's dad's friend, a mechanic, had to come over with his tools. Okay, we'll start with Steve. Obviously, it's wrong because of the red, but if you don't have it on Word, does something belong to Steve? Yeah, it's the dad of Steve. We're assuming his name is Steve, which does not end in S, so it's apostrophe S. Dads. Does something belong to the dad? The friend. It is the friend of the dad. I'm going to assume the word is dad. One dad, so I'm going to go there. Guess what? This is the importance of an apostrophe. You can change someone's sexuality by where an apostrophe goes. If I put it here, that means the word is dads already, as in plural dads, which means Steve's got two dads. So depending on the apostrophe, where that is, changes the meaning, changes the familial relationship. We're going to assume it's one here. Steve's dad's friend, a mechanic, had to come over with his tools. His is possessive, but it's built into the word, so we don't need an apostrophe. Tools. Ooh, where does it go in tools? Before or after? Nowhere. Is there possession? No. No possession, no apostrophe. Today's date is October 27th. It is the date of today. So there is possession, the date of today. Today does not end in S, so it's apostrophe S. All 50 teachers had chalk. Teachers. Is it possessive? You could say technically yes, but it's written with had as the verb for the possession. So the chalk is not directly, it's not the teacher's chalk like it is here. Normally the thing that is being possessed or owned is right after the noun that would have the apostrophe. So this one, nope, it's just 50 teachers and they all had chalk. The teacher's chalk was blue. Is there possession? Yes, the chalk belonged to the teachers. We've already established it's 50 of them. So teachers chalk. Does teachers end in S? Yep, apostrophe after the S. Shirts and pants need to be worn by everyone who attends the various picnics. Anything belong to shirts? Nope, no possession, no apostrophe. Anything belong to pants? No possession, no apostrophe. Attends. Anything belong to attends? No, it's a verb, so nothing's going to belong to it. Various picnics, no possession, no ownership, no apostrophes. That one's good. Boy, it's cold outside. We will all need to get our jackets to stay warm. Boy, it's. We have ITS as possessive, or apostrophe S as it is. Boy, it is cold outside. We'll need to get our jackets to stay warm. Where's it going, jackets? Is there possession? Jackets to stay warm. Nope, nothing belongs to the jackets. No possession, no apostrophe. The one girl was jealous of the two girls' toys. Okay, is there possession? The toys belong to the girls. There are two of them, so girls. There is possession, yes. Does girls end in S? Yes. Apostrophe goes after. The one girl's toy was not as nice. Is there possession? Yes, it is the toy of the girl, the toy that belongs to the girl. The word girl does not end in S, so I'd be adding apostrophe S. The squirrel got its tail run over, now it's tailless. The tail belongs to the squirrel, so this is possession, which, remember, it's built in, no apostrophe for that exception, it's the possessive pronoun. Now it's tailless. Now it is tailless. It is always has the apostrophe. Authors' writing styles vary depending on the authors. Authors' writing styles. Is there possession? Yes, it is the writing styles of the authors. The writing styles belonging to the authors. Using that of can help clarify, since the ownership is tricky. But the writing styles of the authors, it is multiple authors we're talking about. Does authors end in S? Yes, it does. Possession, yes. End in S, yes. Goes after. An apostrophe's purpose is to show possession. Is there possession? Yes. The purpose of the apostrophe. It is the purpose belongs to the apostrophe. The purpose of the apostrophe. An apostrophe. So that's telling me the word is an apostrophe, not an apostrophes. It'd be multiple apostrophes. An apostrophe. There is possession we've established. Does apostrophe end in S? No. So I would add apostrophe S. Again, this is easier. This is going to be easier to do when you're writing because you don't already have a word that looks like it might have an S or not, and you have to discover whether it does. This type of exercise is much harder. So if you can do this well, then you're in good shape. We didn't go up here, but we can tell because I already skipped it. On the authors, why is there no apostrophe in here? There's no possession, no apostrophe. All right, we're going to add commas now. After writing over 100 pages, comma, introductory material. Don't necessarily need it. It's a great transition. But the sentence is, I finished my thesis on Kurt Vonnegut. You only need the comma to separate the extra information at the beginning of a sentence. Kurt Vonnegut, my favorite author, lived in New York. The main sentence is Kurt Vonnegut lived in New York. Here's my extra information. I'm letting you know he's my favorite author. It's not needed for the sentence, so I'm going to surround it with commas. I like to describe these as sort of like little cut marks. I can literally cut that out of the sentence and it still makes sense. Good, extra detail is good, just punctuating it correctly. If they want to pass the class, students will need to know grammar. This is our dependent clause, comma, independent clause. This is dependent, can't stand alone, if they want to pass the class. So if that comes first, I put my comma, and then I've got my independent clause, my sentence. Students will need to know grammar. Furthermore, transition word. Commas come after transition words. Knowledge of grammar will help in everyday life. My favorite colors are blue, comma, green, comma, and yellow. I separate a list of 3 or more things with commas. This one can technically be optional. It's called the Oxford comma, for those of you who want to answer a question on Jeopardy someday, but I would strongly recommend including it. There's no reason not to. I love to read. That's an independent clause, sentence. I enjoy writing. That's an independent clause, sentence. It's combined with and, which is one of our fanboys, for and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So I throw a comma there. I love to read. That's a sentence. I hate writing. That's a sentence. We have 2 independent clauses separated by and, but, or, nor, for, so, yet, another coordinating conjunction. So I'm going to throw a comma there. I love to read and write. I love to read. That's a sentence. Write. Not a sentence. And is not a coordinating conjunction here. It is not a fanboys. It is not combining 2 full sentences. So it does not get a comma. He just finished the test, which he said was very hard. Extra information, I can cut it out, so I'm going to throw a comma there. You can be punished, or you can tell the truth. You can be punished is a sentence. You can tell the truth is a sentence. I'm using a fanboy, coordinating conjunction, and, but, or, nor, for, so, yet, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. I studied comma, use comma, so I should do fine. Independent clause, sentence, comma, coordinating conjunction, independent clause, sentence, I should do fine. I was scared when the alarm went off. A lot of people would put a comma there, but you don't. This is a dependent clause, or sorry, an independent clause followed by a dependent clause. So you do not need one when the dependent clause comes second. Remember, a dependent clause has a subject, alarm, has a verb, went off, but it's not a complete thought, when the alarm went off. So if the dependent clause comes second, we don't use a comma. However, if the dependent clause comes first, we do use a comma. When the alarm went off, comma, I was scared. Remember, you don't always need to use commas in every sentence. Well, this sentence you do, because I'm telling you something. This is a direct address. I'm speaking to you. Remember, comma. When I ask students where to use apostrophes or how they know when to use them, they usually say because you use them where there's a pause. And that really does work a lot of the time. If you read out loud where there's commas, you will naturally pause. It's still important that you know the rules and you know why you're using them. But that is a good sort of trick to at least tip you off that maybe you should use one there. Her hair, which is short, is rather beautiful. Extra information in the beginning of in the middle of a sentence. I can cut it out, so I surround it with commas. It is short, comma, yet it is beautiful. Independent clause. It is short. It is beautiful. Independent clause. Combining them with a coordinating conjunction, a fanboys, and, but, or, nor, for, so, yet, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So I put a comma in coordinating conjunctions. Please place semicolons and or colons. Okay, Kurt Vonnegut shared true words of wisdom. Remember, I describe a colon as I would be doing jazz hands if you could see me, but here it is, here they are. It's setting you up for an announcement. Vonnegut shared true words of wisdom. Here they are, here's his words, colon. We are here on earth to fart around, don't let anybody tell you any different. The boy stole candy, however, he was not punished. Okay, the boy stole candy is a sentence, that's an independent clause. However, he was not punished is another independent clause. Transition word would be however. So I'm going to need a semicolon there. The boy stole candy, semicolon. However, comma, he was not punished. So comma's correct there, semicolon before however. I have 3 favorite colors. Here they are. I'm going to announce what they are. Blue, green, and red. No, I would not use an announcement colon in this sentence, Mike. Colors are blue, green, and red. Because I would not say, my favorite colors are, here they are. So, no colon here. This is wrong. Boom. It's a division sign. But you get the idea. You would use it here when it sets it up as an announcement. There's only one man who can solve this crime. Here he is, Batman. I'm announcing who he is. I wouldn't use a semicolon because that's not a sentence on the other side. I wouldn't use a semicolon. That's not a sentence on the other side. This one's tricky. I actually don't even feel like explaining this because this is one that you will never end up using in real life. So on this video, I'm not going to explain it. If you're in my ground class, ask me. Or if you want it explained and you're in an online class, ask on the discussion board. But you would change these to semicolons, and that's why that would be right. It's really confusing. Again, I'd rather you just ignore that one completely. Now, semicolons and commas. I think this section's the toughest. Many companies make sugar-free soft drinks. That's a sentence. It's all about finding where those independent clauses are, just like we did with the clauses and sentence structures. And the drinks contain only 1 or 2 calories per bottle. That's a sentence. We have an independent clause. We have another independent clause. And they're separated with and, which means it needs a comma. That's wrong. That's a run-on. That's right, if I don't have and. Because I did have and, but, or, nor, for. So yeah, for, and, nor, but, or, yet. So one of those 7 special words, I'm throwing a comma before it to separate 2 independent clauses. Mr. Leland once played in a symphony. Moreover, he now conducts a community orchestra. It's a sentence. I'm going on to another sentence. Moreover, he now conducts a community orchestra. I don't have and, but, or, nor, for, so yet here, so I'm not going to use a comma. I'm going to use a semicolon. Moreover is a transition word at the beginning of my sentence, the beginning of my next independent clause, I should say. So I'm going to throw a comma after it. Mr. Leland once played in a symphony. Moreover, he now conducts a community orchestra. The crabgrass was flourishing, but the rest of the lawn was dying. Independent clause. Independent clause. We have a but in between them. It's coordinated conjunction, a fan voice. The hill was covered with wildflowers. It was a beautiful sight. Do we have more than one independent clause in here? Let's see. The hill was covered with wildflowers. Yeah, that's a sentence. It was a beautiful sight. Yep, that's a sentence. So I can put just a comma there, right? No, you can't. I would need and, but, or, nor, for, so yet there. But we don't have those words, so I'm throwing a semicolon. Semicolon will separate 2 independent clauses. When I turned around, I heard a loud thump because the cat had upset the goldfish bowl. Tricky one. When I turned around, dependent clause, comma, independent clause, I heard a loud thump because the cat had upset the goldfish bowl. This is another dependent clause. Do not need a comma there. This sentence is a D, comma, I, D sentence. Enter that. Dependent clause, when that comes first, it gets the comma between that and the independent. When the dependent comes after the independent, no punctuation. Dependent, independent, dependent. Remember, dependent. Try saying them out loud and see if they are a full thought. They're not. They have a subject, they have a verb, but they're not a full thought. When I turned around, what happened? You need more information. Because the cat had upset the goldfish bowl, what happens? You need information. The only thing is, I heard a loud thump. It's a sentence. Complete thought. The artist preferred to paint in oils, for he did not like watercolors. The artist preferred to paint in oils. It's a sentence. I have a for in between. Let's see. Let's test if this is a sentence. He did not like watercolors. That's a sentence. I'm using for to combine them. Is that one of our 7 words we can use with a comma? That's the F in fan, boys. For and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Throw in a comma. Ooh, this one I think is one of the trickier ones. The house was clean and the table was set. Everything was ready for the guests' arrival. The arrival of the guests. The arrival belongs to the guests. So our apostrophe is in the right place. Just re-emphasizing that. Let's see. The house was clean. That's a sentence. The house was clean. And the table was set. That's a sentence. So we have independent clause, separated by and. So I think we can throw a comma before that. And then everything was ready for the guest's arrival is another independent clause. But there's no and, but, or, nor, for, so yet here. So we're going to throw a semicolon. This one we've got an I, comma, C, I, semicolon, I, sentence. Oh my goodness, see? A million different ways to make all kinds of different sentence structures. He looked carefully in the underbrush. That's an independent clause. He saw a pair of green eyes staring at him. It's an independent clause. I've already got an and there, so I'm going to throw a comma with it. The foundations of the house had been poured, but nothing else had been done because of the carpenter's strike. Tough one. The foundations of the house had been poured. Okay, that sounds like it's an independent clause. We had a but, so we know there might be a comma before that. But let's see if there's an independent clause on this side. Nothing else had been done. That's an independent clause because of the carpenter's strike. Well, we know we have independent clause and independent clause and separated by but, so we can throw a comma there at least for now. Let's look at this part. We have an independent clause. Nothing else had been done. And then what's this? Because of the carpenter's strike. Because of the carpenter's strike is an incomplete thought. It's a dependent clause. Actually, not even a dependent clause because of the carpenter's strike. It's just extra. You don't need a comma before because, but nothing else had been done because of the carpenter's strike. So that's it. You need the comma there. And there's one more down here. The secretary could type 60 words a minute. That's a sentence. And take shorthand. Oh, that's not a sentence, right? Take shorthand is not a sentence, so we're not going to throw a comma before and. However, she could not spell. Okay, so our sentences are, independent clauses are, the secretary could type 60 words a minute and take shorthand. There's no and, but, or, nor, for, so yet here. So no comma, use a semicolon. However, she could not spell. That's an independent clause as well. Starts with a transition word, so I go comma. And there are your answers. If you missed any, rewind the video. If you need more explanations, post a question on the discussion board. Ask me in class. Anything. I don't know why I'm scrolling and making you dizzy probably. But hopefully this stuff is not easy. Again, it's easier to do this when you're writing because you get to control your own sentences. So if you did well on this, if you could do this with sentences someone else write, good for you. You should become familiar with how to use these different pieces of punctuation. They should be used correctly in your writing. And like I said, if you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day.